Okay, I'm going to demonstrate two ways of giving unique symbology to one feature out of a bigger data set. One way to do it is to use the symbology properties. So if I go into the properties, you can't see this, of the states US data set, for example, and let's pick on Nebraska. So right now we're giving everything the same symbol, but if I go into categories, I can choose the name field as a way to identify, and I can add a value. And I can scroll through here and find Nebraska. There we go. And add it to my list, right? So all the other values are going to be treated this way, and I can maintain the same kind of symbology. And then maybe Nebraska, we want to give something different. We don't have to affect it here. We can affect it, it's easiest to affect this here because we're handling all of them at once. But we can handle Nebraska separately here. So let's say we just want to give it a colored outline or a slightly different fill color. Oh, let's make it a little bit brighter instead. No, not that bright, that's ugly. Oh, that's terrible too. Oh, we'll try that. And then we want our outline color to be something a little bit more obvious, and we'll make it a little thicker. It didn't work out very well for the fill color, but I think you get the gist. That's one way to affect it that way. Now, another way to uniquely symbolize it is to go ahead and just create a new shapefile of it and let it sit as its own thing. And the way to do that is to select it. And if it's easier to select it manually, you can do that, or you can go into the attribute table and select it there. Maybe you're selecting on values or something and not just a feature. If you wanted to select all the states with populations greater than, whatever, you could go into the states or wherever your entity is and do it in the attribute table. So you've got basically a selection now. And what you want to do is right-click again and say Data, Export Data. And I'll show you why. Because it's going to give you the option to export the selected features or all features in the view extent. This is kind of handy to know. But we want to export our selected features. Notice that you can just maintain the same coordinate system as the source data, and that's fine. And then just make sure you're putting it with your other data, right? So I'm going to drop it on my desktop so I can delete it, because I create a lot of data when I'm doing these things. And I'm not going to call it export output. I'm going to call it Nebraska export output. Not really. And that's okay. And yes, I want to add it to the map. Now I can remove my highlighting, and now you can see I've got a way to individually symbolize Nebraska. So I'm going to take this and get rid of Nebraska and leave my all other values that color. And let's apply a frame. I just think this works a little bit better. It gives you a cleaner outline. So before, the outline was competing a little bit with the neighboring outlines, and I think this way, because it's floating on top, you get a little bit of a cleaner presentation. So two ways to do the same thing, typical. If you have any questions, let me know.